What if you could reboot your brain? For the tens of millions of people fighting depression, anxiety, and trauma, the mind can feel like a prison. It can be a place where negative, self-critical thoughts play on a loop, carving deep grooves of suffering that seem impossible to get out of. While conventional treatments are a lifesaver for many, they don't work for everyone, leaving a huge number of people searching for a way out of the darkness. But what if a single dose of a natural compound could hit the reset button? Scientists are discovering that psilocybin, the active compound in magic mushrooms, does a lot more than just create a temporary psychedelic experience. Groundbreaking research is showing that it can fundamentally alter your brain's structure and activity. It can trigger both immediate and long-lasting changes in connectivity and plasticity, creating a real opportunity for positive change after just one session. Today, we're exploring the revolutionary science of psilocybin. We'll see how this powerful compound rewires the brain, breaking down rigid thought patterns and creating a unique window for healing. We'll break down exactly how it can quiet the brain's inner critic, forge new neural pathways, and offer profound new hope for some of the most challenging mental health conditions of our time. 1. The problem: the brain in a rut. To really get how psilocybin works, we first need to understand the problem it's solving: a brain that's stuck in a rut. Conditions like depression, anxiety, and PTSD aren't just about feeling sad or being worried. They're often defined by deeply rigid patterns of thinking and feeling. At the center of this rigidity is a brain network called the default mode network, or DMN. Think of your DMN as the brain's screensaver or its internal narrator. When you're not focused on a task, when you're daydreaming, thinking about the past, or worrying about the future, the DMN is fired up. It's the part of your brain that handles your sense of self. In a healthy brain, the DMN is flexible. It helps with self-reflection and planning. But in conditions like depression, this network can become hyperactive and rigid. Picture a sled on a snowy hill. The more times it goes down, the deeper the track it carves. Soon, it's almost impossible to steer the sled onto a new path. That's what a hyperactive DMN does to your thoughts. It locks you into loops of rumination, self-criticism, and worry. The brain gets stuck, reinforcing a negative self-image and a sense of hopelessness. That internal narrator becomes a critic you just can't turn off. This is why treatment-resistant depression is such a monster to tackle. Traditional antidepressants like SSRIs work by increasing the amount of serotonin in the brain. For many, this is life-changing. But for others, it's just like adding more snow to the hill without fixing the deep tracks. The underlying thought patterns are still there, so the relief can be limited. This is where psilocybin comes in. It doesn't just add more snow, it offers a way to flatten the whole landscape so new paths can be made. 2. The catalyst: introducing psilocybin. So what is this compound that holds so much promise? Psilocybin is a psychedelic compound produced by over 200 species of mushrooms. People have used it for thousands of years, often in spiritual ceremonies. But only recently have we had the scientific tools to see what it actually does to the brain. When you take psilocybin, your body converts it into a molecule called psilocin. And psilocin is the real star of the show. Structurally, it looks a whole lot like serotonin, one of the brain's most important neurotransmitters. Serotonin is a master regulator, controlling everything from your mood and emotions to your sleep. Because they look so similar, psilocin can fit into and activate serotonin receptors. It's especially drawn to a specific type called the serotonin 2A, or 5-HT2A receptor. And these 5-HT2A receptors are packed into the very brain regions that make up the default mode network. Think of the 5-HT2A receptor as a lock and psilocin as a key. SSRIs work by just making more serotonin keys available. Psilocybin is different. Its active form, psilocin, acts like a master key that directly and powerfully turns the 5-HT2A lock. And when that happens, it kicks off a chain reaction that dramatically reconfigures the brain's entire operating system. This is where the journey begins. The moment psilocin binds to these receptors, the brain's normal, predictable patterns start to dissolve, paving the way for a temporary but profound state of altered consciousness and mental flexibility. 3. The journey into the brain, the during picture. So what does this reboot actually look like inside the brain? Thanks to fMRI imaging, scientists can now watch the psilocybin journey unfold in near real time. It's a process of radical disruption and reorganization. First, and most importantly, the default mode network goes quiet. As psilocin activates the 5-HT2A receptors, the hyperconnected activity within the DMN, that relentless inner critic, is dramatically turned down. Neuroscientists call this desynchronization. The rigid, looping thoughts that define depression are broken. The deep sled tracks are suddenly smoothed over. For the first time in years, maybe, the inner critic is silent. This brain event is closely linked to the experience people call ego dissolution, where the sense of a separate self fades, replaced by a feeling of deep connection with the world. But while the DMN quiets down, something amazing happens. The rest of the brain lights up. Normally, your brain operates like a well-oiled machine with specialized departments. The visual cortex handles sight, the executive control network handles decisions, and so on. They communicate along well-known highways. It's efficient, but it's also rigid. Psilocybin tears down that structure. With the DMN no longer hogging the mic, communication lines open up between parts of the brain that rarely, if ever, speak to each other. The visual cortex might start talking to the emotion and memory centers. The part of your brain that processes sound might link up with your decision-making network. Brain imaging shows this as a massive spike in global connectivity, a beautiful, complex web of new conversations happening all at once. Scientists call this state an increase in brain entropy. Think about ice. It has a rigid, ordered structure. When you heat it, it melts into flexible, fluid water. Psilocybin does something similar to the brain's rigid networks, melting them into a more fluid and interconnected state. It's like shaking a snow globe. The settled, predictable scene is thrown into a beautiful, temporary chaos where anything can connect with anything else. This state of hyperconnectivity is what creates the psychedelic experience. The changes in what you see and hear, the rush of emotions and memories, the profound new insights. The brain is temporarily free from its old habits. But the story doesn't end when the drug wears off. In fact, the most important part is just getting started. If you're finding this look into the brain's inner workings as fascinating as we do, and you want to stay on top of the latest in neuroscience and mental health, take a second to subscribe and click the bell. We're about to explore what happens after the journey, which is where the real therapeutic magic lies. 4. The aftermath, the after picture. The intense effects of psilocybin last for about 4 to 6 hours, but its most important benefits show up in the days, weeks, and even months that follow. The trip is over, but the brain has been changed. It's entered a temporary but powerful state of heightened neuroplasticity, what scientists call a window of opportunity for rewiring. Neuroplasticity is the brain's natural ability to form new connections. It's how we learn, make memories, and adapt. While our brains are always somewhat plastic, research shows that psilocybin gives this ability a massive and sustained boost. How does it do this? The answer is on the molecular level. Activating the 5-HT2A receptor kicks off a downstream cascade of genetic and cellular changes. It specifically boosts the expression of key genes related to plasticity. One of the most important ones produces a protein called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. You can think of BDNF as miracle grow for your neurons. It's a protein that helps new neurons and synapses survive, grow, and mature. Studies on animal models have shown that a single dose of psilocybin leads to a rapid, sustained increase in synaptic connections in the prefrontal cortex, a key region for mood and cognitive control. Researchers have literally watched under a microscope as neurons grow new dendritic spines, the tiny branches that form connections with other neurons. This isn't just a temporary chemical change, it's a physical remodeling of the brain. And even more incredibly, follow-up studies in mice have shown these new connections can stick around for at least a month, suggesting a real, durable rewiring of the brain's circuits. This period of supercharged neuroplasticity is the therapeutic window of opportunity. The brain is uniquely flexible. The old, rigid ruts of the DMN have been smoothed over, and the machinery for building new connections is working overtime. This is exactly why the modern approach isn't just about taking a drug, it's psilocybin-assisted therapy. The psilocybin creates the biological opportunity for change. It flattens the snowy landscape. The therapy that comes after is what helps a person carve new, healthier, and more adaptive tracks. It allows them to take the insights from their experience and actively practice new ways of thinking and feeling. Without that integration work, the old ruts might just reform. With it, lasting transformation is possible. 5. The transformation, real-world impact. So we have a brain that's been reset and is ready to be rewired. What does this actually mean for people suffering from mental health conditions? The clinical results have been astounding. For major depression, the connection is clear. By quieting the hyperactive default mode network, psilocybin directly targets the neural engine of rumination and self-criticism. The increased global connectivity helps patients break out of those mental loops and see their lives from a new perspective. Landmark studies from institutions like Johns Hopkins University and Imperial College London have shown that 1 or 2 doses of psilocybin, when combined with therapy, can cause rapid and major reductions in depressive symptoms. A significant number of patients have even achieved complete remission, with follow-up studies showing these effects can last for a year or even longer for many. The potential for chronic pain is just as exciting. Chronic pain is often tangled up with depression and anxiety, creating a vicious cycle of suffering. Recent preclinical research from 2025 has revealed psilocybin may provide significant relief by acting on circuits in a brain region called the anterior cingulate cortex, a hub that processes both physical pain and emotional distress. In these animal studies, researchers found psilocybin acts not as an on-off switch for pain, but as a dimmer switch, gently turning down the volume on both pain and mood signals. Remarkably, a single dose was shown to reduce pain-related behaviors and anxiety in mice for up to 2 weeks, suggesting it recalibrates the brain's interpretation of pain signals. The same principle of breaking rigid patterns applies to addiction. Whether it's nicotine, alcohol, or other substances, addiction is defined by deeply ingrained compulsive habits. The state of heightened plasticity from psilocybin creates a perfect opportunity to disrupt those habits and form new, healthier ones. Clinical trials have shown impressive success rates for smoking cessation and alcohol use disorder, where psilocybin helps people see their addiction in a new light and strengthens their motivation to change. Across all these conditions, the underlying idea is the same. Psilocybin isn't a simple chemical fix, it's a catalyst for change. It disrupts rigid, unhealthy brain patterns and kicks off a state of heightened plasticity, creating a critical window where therapy can help fundamentally rewire the brain for lasting well-being. 6. The caveats and call for caution. Now, as exciting as all this sounds, it's absolutely critical to be responsible and cautious. Psychedelics are powerful substances, not miracle cures, and they come with real risks if used improperly. First, not every trip is a good one. A bad trip, filled with intense fear, paranoia, and distress, is a real possibility. For people with a personal or family history of psychotic disorders like schizophrenia, psychedelics could even trigger a psychotic episode. This is why every major clinical trial has strict screening to exclude people who might be at higher risk. Second, the ideas of set and setting are everything. Set is your mindset, your intentions and emotional state. Setting is your physical and social environment. All of this groundbreaking research is being done in carefully controlled clinical settings, with trained therapists guiding participants. Taking these substances recreationally is a totally different and much riskier ballgame. The support of a professional is key to navigating challenging moments and making sense of the experience afterward. Finally, there's the legal landscape. In most parts of the world, including at the federal level in the US, psilocybin is a Schedule I controlled substance, making it illegal. But the tide is starting to turn. Places like Oregon and Colorado have moved to decriminalize or create regulated therapy programs. Australia became the first country to let psychiatrists prescribe it for treatment-resistant depression. And the FDA has given psilocybin a breakthrough therapy designation to speed up its review. The path to safe and legal psychedelic medicine is through careful science and clinical oversight. This is not a do-it-yourself treatment. It's a powerful medical tool that requires a professional guide. We've gone from a brain stuck in painful, rigid loops to the intricate dance that happens when psilocybin enters the picture. We've seen how it can quiet the inner critic, tear down old neural highways, and create a vibrant, hyper-connected new landscape in the brain. And most importantly, we've seen that the end of the trip is just the beginning of the real work. By triggering a powerful wave of neuroplasticity, a single dose of psilocybin opens a precious window of opportunity. It creates a state of incredible brain flexibility that, when paired with skilled therapy, can allow for the deep rewiring of the patterns that cause so much of our suffering. Psilocybin isn't a magic bullet. The science shows it's something much more interesting. A powerful catalyst that can help reboot the brain's operating system, making a deep and lasting psychological reset possible. As this research continues, we may be on the verge of a brand new paradigm in mental health care, one that uses the brain's own ability to change to bring healing and hope to millions.